About a week ago, I got a chance to watch The Menu. I was not excited to watch this movie just because of how many times I saw that trailer in front of movies and I didn't think it looked any good. And then reviews came out and they're like, hey, it's actually pretty good. And so I checked it out and it actually was pretty good. I quite enjoyed this movie. This movie has a lot of smart commentary that I did not expect, and it's suspenseful in ways I didn't expect, and it's funny in ways I didn't expect. It's a lot of movie in its short runtime, and it fulfilled exactly what I would want out of a movie like this. There is a lot of metaphors in this film, and it was my favorite thing about this movie is how it took food and chefs. You can find a way to relate to it, because obviously when they're talking about their food and their work, and when they think about it so intensely and passionately, I connect it to how I am with movies and such. And so like I can automatically see that link between the two with the critic's mindset, what general audiences want, about trying to find that happy medium. And I think this film aspires to be that too, that film that makes the critics happy and also the film that satisfies the audience. And so I really admire this film for that, because it really breaks down what it tries to be, but does it in such a nuanced and subtle way. I really don't pick up on it while you're watching the movie. This movie has a really solid cast. Obviously, the standout of this movie was Ralph Fiennes. He gave a kind of scary performance, but so subtle. What really worked about this movie is that there isn't a beefy runtime to this, but yet there's so much to digest. Haha. Particularly with Ralph Fiennes' character, because there's really a lot there that doesn't feel like it's forced in. Every second of his screen time is very, like I said, nuanced in a way where you can pick up on the little things and see his backstory, and that's just all mostly due to his incredible performance. He was my favorite of the film. Anya Taylor-Joy is also in this film, and she is really, really good in it. She is kind of an outsider in the situation, and the connection that she has with Ralph Fiennes is very odd but fascinating at the same time. I cannot remember the actor's name, but he was in the X-Men movies. He played Beast. He was very good in this movie. He's a little bit of a snob, and he has one of the funniest scenes in the movie, but it makes me laugh thinking about it. But everything they do with his character is actually really funny. Like I said, this movie is very confident with his messaging, but the one thing about the messaging is that I didn't always 100% agree with everything that they were saying, and I really can't get into that without deep diving into the movie. But to keep it simple, it's kind of like they made some statements about food, which in my head, I'm just kind of applying it to film the whole time, because that's just the way I perceived it. And plus, you're also watching a movie, so if it's a writer, writing a movie, I'm assuming that was definitely what they had in their mind, but food as like a metaphor for it. They're kind of like making commentary on like film critics sometimes, and of course, I consider myself a film critic, and I just felt a little bit of it was more so taking a jab at them rather than giving a valid reason to unvalidate them, if that makes sense. Because particularly with this film presents itself as a dumb film sometimes, even though it really isn't. So particularly with its food, sometimes they make a lot of commentary of, oh, sometimes you should just let a cheeseburger be a cheeseburger. Make it simple instead of making all this fancy fluff, and it makes it really just kind of confusing to look at. And so obviously they're saying films should just be more simpler, something that the audience should like. I didn't always agree with that. And maybe that was not the intention at all, but that is definitely the way I interpreted it. Maybe I'm taking it too deep. Maybe I'm not. It's just I didn't always agree with like this analogy that they're making, that movies are getting too snobbery, because I didn't like that idea, because it felt like it's playing towards the general audience, but at the same time, this is a movie that could very well be in film that the audience sees as Oscar boringness. I didn't see it as Oscar boringness. I hope that the general audience doesn't see this as Oscar boringness. But I feel like this film almost kind of labeled itself in a way that is very confident, and maybe it didn't always work. And I know the thing is that this film is so deep for me to even try to tackle this type of commentary. I could be making a fool of myself right now. So I'll admit that. I have had some time to think about this movie, and that's kind of like the only thing that really kind of got a little iffy to me. But besides that, I thought this was a tense thriller. I wasn't like tensed up, but I was always curious to see what was happening next. I wasn't 100% invested, but I wasn't ever bored, and I had quite a lot of fun with the movie. It was funny, it was thrilling, it was a lot in one movie with a lot of commentary, and it pulled it off in a non-overwhelming way. I think this movie accomplished quite a bit. Watching it, I was intrigued, but I wasn't like, I am watching this, what's going to happen next, like I do with some thrillers. But I did really enjoy this movie, and I want to give it an 8.3 out of 10. Comment down what you guys thought of The Menu. Another thing is, I got quite hungry while watching this movie. I didn't bring anything with me to eat, which was a mistake because I should have, because there's many times where I was like, that food looks delicious. Anyways, comment down below what you guys thought of the menu if you guys checked it out. And if you haven't checked it out, just do it because it's a good movie. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that. And adios.